Focus. Ideate. Innovate. Enable.
UTI Mutual Fund and CNBC TV 18's Financial Advisor Awards are one of India's most prominent award ceremonies that appreciate the efforts of financial advisors across the country. The 8th edition of the Financial Advisor Awards is in the making. Over the years, these awards have created a unique buzz in the financial market space, emerging as one-of-a-kind platform that recognizes the best wealth preservers across different sectors of the country.
This is the only award which is not a one-time sitting by one jury. In fact, it is a year-long affair. And we have, as part of the Financial Advisor Awards, forums in many cities where experts gather and the financial advisors gather and debate upon several issues facing both the Indian financial sector, the Indian financial investor, and the financial advisory community. Nothing that CNBC TV 18 does, and I would dare say UTI Mutual Fund does, welds the customer, the advisor, and the manufacturer of products as effectively as the Financial Advisor Award does, both geographically and in terms of the levels, the vertical and horizontal levels of people involved in the financial space.
The internal changes within India, not just the political changes and the renewed commitment to reform, but the underlying structural changes in terms of the competitiveness of Indian industry, the shifting demographics that we are actually seeing in terms of household participation in savings and investment, some of the policy changes that are actually enabling that when you look at the focus on retirement and how that's actually going to impact our capital markets, and a rising young generation that is utterly unembarrassed about the fact that wealth creation is a good thing. That last point, I think, is really sinking home even to me as I've interacted across the country with different advisors and met people from different walks of life. We are finally at a point where it is no longer a bad thing or an embarrassment to actually think about how you build wealth, how you will create wealth. But the channeling of energy into the creation of new opportunities, getting things much earlier than our parents did, let alone our grandparents, that is a force, a life force, which I think the younger generation has, which is going to change this country for the better in a number of ways. We've seen over the last 3 or 4 years, perhaps one of the best periods that the Indian mutual fund industry has seen. We are very proud, of course, of having been, in a sense, responsible for creating this industry. But we know that it's people like you who take it forward.
It's a pleasure for us at ICRA to partner with CNBC TV 18 and UTI over multiple editions of Financial Advisor Awards. In fact, in these many years, these awards have grown in terms of stature and popularity and are very keenly looked forward to by the participants. One thing that is very, very obvious, as we see over the last decade, is the growing importance, the evolution of financial advisor and the growing dependence of investors in the financial advisors. And this dependence has come with trust. And the trust is really built with consistency. Thank you.
Having received over 39,000 applications, the Financial Advisor Awards have grown exponentially with each passing year and carved a niche for itself in the financial sector of India.
These awards are very important because they give the right kind of recognition. It's a platform where some of the best advisors in the country come together.
The financial advisors an opportunity or a platform to distinguish themselves from the others, to bring a level of recognition to their services, and in turn it helps their clients in making an informed choice. So to that extent, it is a very, it's a very important award, I would think.
3 years back or 5 years back, the advisor was primarily a distributor who would take products to customers and sell products to customers. I think given changing customer preferences, changing technology requirements, and changing regulatory environment, the role of the advisor is now becoming far sharper.
One of the things we used to keep talking about is mis-selling, particularly, are you trying to sell what remunerates you more than what, a customer really desires or customer should have or ought to have. I think there is a great deal of thrust on that area, and most firms are trying to ensure that there is an institutional advice which is consistently given, rather than an individual jumping the gun and giving a certain advice.
On the other side, we will take a look at the journey of the Financial Advisor Forum and catch up with the juries as they analyze the potential candidates and their ideas. Financial Advisor Awards feature an esteemed jury panel comprising of industry stalwarts who grill the nominees.
We saw people who were driving inclusion in the Northeast, for instance, right, where they are reaching out to lakhs and lakhs of investors who are investing very small amounts, maybe 30,000, 40,000 rupees. On the other extreme, we saw people who were doing very, very advanced quantitative analytics, robo-advisory, and leveraging technology like that to service really high-end investors as well. And I thought it was quite fascinating to see that a country like India can provide such a dramatic spectrum of advisory platforms in the first place.
Barring technical aspects, which are very vital, I think as compared to the previous years, I think the technical aspects has been excellent, but more important than that is the enthusiasm for the award. And for this, I am sure, I must compliment CNBC for doing an excellent job.
The Financial Advisor Awards conduct forums of industry experts in different cities to discuss and analyze the importance of financial advisors in various sectors.
How can IFAs start using technology better?
No, technology is there, available for everyone to use. And whether it's IFAs, whether it's banks, whether it's anybody, whether the fund houses themselves. And I think everybody is stepping up and making use of that technology. There's various kinds of technology that is available. And what it does is that it helps us reach to a much wider network of investors.
Not only young investors, but even people with age 60 plus also, they are also looking for technology these days. They want all their transactions to be done online. And for people, advisors especially, when they are treating or where they are dealing with their clients, it has been like the client and their son and then their grandson. So all of them are their clients. And the younger generations, they will be looking for technology. So they will have no other option either to create their own apps or their online technology platform using various platforms which is available, or use this apps and online platforms from all these AMCs. So this is becoming more and more important, and I think business, which we can see, has actually gone up, especially in case of liquid plans and wherein people are just using it every day, even on Sundays and even on Saturdays. So this is becoming very common.
For an IFA, what does he or she need to do to make sure that he's not completely missing the tech bus? Because as Mr. Puri also mentioned, transactions are happening. So there are different apps and different platforms for transaction. There's a lot of information that's flowing through different sort of information apps or news apps, if that's what you like to call it. So does every IFA also need an app of his or her own? I mean, how do you be on the bus and yet not spend too much of energy and time to sort of diffuse your overall effort?
I think we look at this whole digitization in two respects. One is, of course, what they spoke about in terms of it being incremental service platform. It's basically the movement that we've seen from paper to paperless, right? And which is what digitization has sort of helped all this while. I think the other big thing which digital will do, and we have to see it evolve yet, is the ability to deliver mass customization. There is just so much data which is available, which talks of different behaviors. We've still not really seen the capitalization of data in order to ensure we are able to deliver mass level of customization to customers. And then it's not only about youth, because you know, the behaviors which I will have will be very, very different probably from what somebody who's 25 years would do. But you know, the ability, because of my data which exists, be it internally within the bank or be it in the external ecosystem, the digital footprint is permanent. Make no mistake about that. So that data just stays. Now it's really the ability of these firms to make the best of that digital data in order to deliver the right product to the customer. I think that whole evolution, which is likely to happen over the next few years, will really be the transformational evolution. From an advisor perspective, one really has to start thinking about what this means for your business, because it's not only about developing an app and saying, okay, today I have an app and I have created the convenience and I've moved from paper to paperless. I don't think any of us should fool ourselves by thinking I'm digitized because I'm paperless, right? You got to be thinking about what is it that you're going to do with respect to the data that you have. And of course, different people will have different amounts of data. But I'm just saying you need to be cognizant about the fact that if you don't use the data in the ecosystem, there's somebody else who's going to do it better than you. And I think one just needs to sort of be aware of this change which is sort of upon us.
In a discussion with the MD of UTI Asset Management Company, Leo Puri, we got the insights on how this year is going to bring positive growth in the mutual fund sector, strengthen the profession of IFAs.
Can you begin by highlighting to me how you understand the role of the financial advisor? Clearly, 2016 has taught us that change is the only constant. In terms of finance, we are being buffeted by more and more unexpected news. So how does that change the role of the financial advisor according to you?
It continues to strengthen the necessity of such a profession. And indeed, it is becoming a profession. Even more so in times of uncertainty. The need for the balance, the rationality, the ability to step back becomes important. The ability to contemplate longer-term issues and balance between consumption and savings, intergenerational savings, retirement. These are issues that become perhaps even more pressing at this point. So I think it's very timely that we are hosting this, the 8th edition.
Okay. Well, the 8th edition also comes on the heels of the demonetization, whose positive avatar is really digitization of the economy. I mean, per force, we are seeing people accepting non-cash payments, either plastic or digital movement of money. How does that change the role of the mutual fund industry itself? Do you see yourself getting more customers?
Yes, I think we have virtually doubled. The industry has virtually doubled in the last 3 years at 16 lakh crores, from 7 to 8 lakh crores. So let's not forget the very good news on which we are riding. We'll come to some of the concerns later, I'm sure. But right now, the good news is we more or less doubled. Clearly, that has represented an opportunity for professionals in the industry. Demonetization is fundamentally good for financial inclusion. As you say, digitization is a way to catalyze people's participation in the formal economy, and a large part of that will eventually find its way into our industry, into both debt and equity products, balanced products as well. So this should be seized upon as a chance to say the number of investors is going to expand dramatically, both because of our demographics, but now because of this catalyst. And therefore, the volume of money that our sector is going to have to absorb and deploy is also going to go up in a non-linear way over the next 2 or 3 years. It's a very welcome opportunity for us and should bring some cheer, New Year cheer to our advisors.
On the other side, stay tuned for a glimpse of the awards and how they have evolved over the years. Financial Advisor Awards have witnessed a significant rise in applications from 35,000 in 2016 to 39,000 in 2017. Our knowledge partners, ICRA, follow a scope of analysis that covers both qualitative and quantitative parameters.
We had a predefined list of parameters on which we had to judge the various participants. So they were a mix of both quantitative parameters as well as qualitative parameters. So quantitative parameters would include things like how many clients they have, what is the AUM, what kind of revenues they are making.
I think the qualitative ones were the real differentiators, right? Business model and the way they are going to adopt to the regulatory and technology changes was a key parameter. Is this going to be sustainable? What are they doing the right thing? The other big thing was how are they looking at customer satisfaction?
An interactive session where you get to showcase what you have done for your customers, how technology is reshaping the world of advisory, how clients have benefited from this experience, and showcasing this to our jury members who are very eminent and kind of having cross questioning from them sometimes helps you build conviction on what you're doing. And at the same time, gives you ideas of what more can be done, because I think it's a good two-way interaction, and I think it's a great experience to be here every year.
We are extremely honored to be part of this awards, because this is like the Oscars of Financial Advisor Awards, and I would say more than that, we've seen a very dynamic regulatory environment in the last 5-6 years, and in that to recognize the advisors who are really doing a good job, I think is really notable, and I think that is what we like about these awards, because they also highlight the kind of hardships the advisors had to face in the environment. So I think it's the best, I would say, in terms of advisor. There are a lot of awards happening by the product manufacturer, but this is truly the industry awards. It truly represents the industry, in terms of awards.
Given the reputation of the platform hosting the awards, I think it adds a lot of credibility to us as well.
Many people go for short-term gratification and they get it. But people like us who are looking for long-term, the award like this is big, support to our conviction. Yes, you can go on this model. This is the right way.
Overall, the presentations were very informative. So there are a lot of things that I also got to learn, listening to the participants, some things that I was able to learn from my co-jury members as well. So that way, a lot of in it for me as well. And what we found was that, a lot of hard work actually goes in, doing the financial advisory business.
The manner in which they present themselves tells us a lot about what is really key to them, what is most important to them, and so on. So I was quite keen to, hear them out. What is it that is most important to them?
With 2016 having been an eventful year and 2017 getting off to a rocky start, the Financial Advisor Awards this year will play a bigger role, with the City Forums tapping into the critical role of the best women financial advisors, and will also address some of the challenges they may face in the coming future. We will also talk about how they can help their investors reach their aspirations and how they scale up their business in the face of reducing margins and growing regulations.